Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm Ben.
Looks like evidence is mounting that Pokémon could actually hit Nintendo Switch this year. Yay!
I'm down. While nothing's been officially confirmed, new job postings may be indicating where the game is at in development and when we can expect to play it.
Oh god, bless them, job postings. They're such a great resource for little tidbits like this.
Okay, so here's what we know. Apparently, the Pokémon Company is looking for localization editors in German, Italian, French, and Spanish, and has posted job listings for the positions online.
They're hiring for 6-month contracts, according to the postings on the job site Glassdoor, and the jobs are expected to start between April and June of this year.
All right, and if that's the case, we could be seeing the game much sooner than anyone thought, like this year soon, which would be huge for Nintendo.
Yeah, the Switch has had a pretty amazing first year in terms of big name games. They had Zelda Breath of the Wild early on, followed it up with Super Mario Odyssey. It's been a pretty big year. Splatoon 2, everyone. And everyone's been wondering how Nintendo was going to follow that up in 2018.
Cool. They've stated they hope to sell 30 million Switches for the year, which is a pretty huge goal and needs some pretty powerful games to drive it.
30 million is a lot of consoles.
Yeah,
but a brand new Pokemon game would make a splash for the Switch's sophomore year, and it would pretty much guarantee that the console would remain in demand for the foreseeable future.
It's important to note that this is all rumor territory, and localization leaks have been wrong in the past with other Nintendo games.
Well, it's half rumor territory. There is some concrete stuff, but there are extrapolations from that.
I'll take the half rumors over the other rumors. So, yeah, keep that in mind, though. But here's what we do know.
The news first bubbled up thanks to Twitter user Pixelpar, who's tweeted Pokemon rumors in the past. Over the weekend, Pixelpar tweeted, "Looks like the initial European translations for Pokemon Switch are planned to be completed between April and June. They will then undergo localization editing. Editors are being hired on a minimum 6-month contract."
Pixelpar has a decent track record of being right when it comes to stuff like dates for upcoming Nintendo Directs. Pixelpar was also right with Wild Guns Reloaded coming to the Switch, tweeting the news out 6 days ahead of the official announcement.
So there's some evidence online to back up this claim as well. So we found the job listings on Glassdoor for several localization editors for the Pokemon Company, and those jobs would be based out of their London office.
Sounds good so far. According to the job post, the primary responsibilities include editing, including content and copy editing of rules text and other game-related text. Applicants must also edit translated documents for grammar, punctuation, spelling, and slang.
The posting asked that the applicants be fluent in German, Spanish, Italian, or French, and interestingly, they also do require fluent English language skill, which kind of makes sense, especially if it's going to be based out of their London office. You got to be able to talk to each other.
Sure. While the job ads don't specifically mention Pokemon for the Switch, it's not hard to draw that conclusion that the game has been confirmed to be in development since last E3, while rumors swirling around Pokemon Stars since Sun and Moon's release thanks to the high-resolution models in that game that seem designed with the console game in mind.
But unlike Pixelpar's tweet, the job listings, and that's the most official we can get, say that the localization editors are expected to begin, not end, sometime in that April to June window.
All right, so if you calculate the 6-month contracts, you might be able to see some
add
kind
of
line
it's
window
tight.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. For their part, this isn't the first time Pixelpar has tweeted about the Pokemon Switch game. Several days back, he or she tweeted that the game will be fully 3D with high-res assets, and it'll have a cel-shaded art style and make use of the Switch's touchscreen.
So, okay, there is a bit of that disconnect as to when the localizations are happening, but the other part of this, we don't know exactly how that process could differ for a console release as opposed to their usual handheld stuff. Localization can be a very arduous process because it is much, much more complicated than just translating one language into another word for word. There's a lot to be done.
Yeah, more or less. The job posting notes things like slang because the translations need to adapt a lot of the language figuratively as well as literally. Jokes, references, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then that localization could be followed by months and months of testing. Gotta do voiceover. I mean, if it's a console release, I'm assuming there will be plenty of voiceover that they need to then record and get in the game. It's a lot.
So, yeah, it might take a few months. That's what we heard back when there were rumors that localization issues could prevent Breath of the Wild from releasing with the Switch. And yeah, that turned out to be not true, so this could be BS too.
Well, regardless, localization is a very complicated process. It takes longer than most people think, and it can't just be rushed through, especially if you want a good game to come out the other side.
Several years ago, an editor from Atlas listed all the major steps involved in localization, and it's pretty extensive. The process for Atlas included 1 to 3 weeks of playing the game, up to 8 weeks to localize and translate it, 4 to 6 weeks of programming, 5 to 8 weeks for quality assurance, aka bug testing, and then finally 3 to 8 weeks to get approval from the manufacturing, and then another 3 to 5 weeks to actually print, box, and ship the game. So a ton of it goes into work.
It's a lot. There are a lot of steps. There's a lot of approval to go through, especially when you consider all the people who have to sign off on something as big as a new Pokemon game.
Right, and if these translators are starting as late as June, we're still looking at months before any game would come out, which would even put the earliest release at the end of 2018.
So it's a stretch, it's tight, it is still feasible. It's possible that Nintendo could be trying to get the game out in time for the holiday season, which is traditionally the busiest time of year in the game industry.
And Nintendo hasn't really said much yet, but in its communication with investors, it's given an extremely vague timeline saying that the Pokémon Switch game will be released 2018 or later. Great information.
Not in the past.
Not in the past.
But if a Pokemon game does come out this year, it would pretty much guarantee that Switch would be launched into the stratosphere sales-wise with a huge, huge base of players, which of course is what Nintendo wants because that means every game released on the Switch has a potential audience of millions and millions of players.
Which hopefully bumps them up to that 30 million sales unit.
Exactly.
And Pokemon is one of those franchises that's pretty much guaranteed to help them hit that target goal.
After all, Pokemon is one of the biggest video game franchises in history, and even its lesser-known games still sell bazillions of copies. Pokemon Sun and Moon were the best-selling games ever for 3DS, and they sparked a renewed interest in the handheld, even though it's pretty damn old at this point, and it's pretty far behind everything else out there technology-wise. It still kept it popular and relevant.
Yep, new Pokemon game is pretty much a license to print money and sell consoles, because Pokemon fans have definitely shown that they'll buy the games no matter where they are. And that's coupled with the fact that this would be the first mainline Pokemon game to come to a traditional console, even though the Switch can of course double as a handheld.
Yeah, but they are treating it more as a handheld to some degree, as far as they want everyone to buy their own instead of sharing them like it would maybe a normal home console. But this is the home consolist we have ever got a mainline game. So fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. While this is still not entirely solid, there's some evidence there, but it's not concrete. If it does pan out, it could point to a very, very good 2018 for Nintendo and Pokemon fans.
What do you guys think of this latest Pokemon Switch rumor? Do you think there's any truth at all to it? Let us know in the comments.
And for all your Pokemon news, make sure you like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the know. Well, we'll cut that part. Kdin cut that part.
Apparently, the Pokemon Company is looking for. Gotcha. All right, so Pixelmar has a decent track record with being right when it comes to stuff like dates for upcoming. Yep, cool, nailed it. I'm trying to think what Pokemon slang would be.